Storytelling Ron here. I'm here to talk about some Star Wars stuff. GMing. I'm just kind of just like kind of just talking about different things. I'm just now the way you should watch this video or even listen to this video is go do the dishes. Go do the dishes. Put this on. Have your little screen there with your phone. That's the way I do it. And I usually kind of watch or listen to people's videos while I'm doing dishes. And trust me, for the wife, it's very sexy. Very sexy when you do dishes. Okay, so you can do that while I'm talking about this or watching, however you're doing it. But anyway, I just want to talk about GMing and just different things that I've been coming up against. I've been doing it with my family and my two daughters, 16 and 22, and they're suitors. No boyfriends allowed. Must be a suitor. And my wife. And that's been great. And kind of mix and match different, due to scheduling. We'll have some this time, sometime, and then together. But anyway, so just some things that I'm figuring out, learning, or just want to talk about as far as GMing Star Wars. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm a D&D dude, and then now I really love the Star Wars stuff. And, with the shows, Mandalorian and all this stuff, I figure it's a fun time to DM Star Wars. And so the first thing I want to talk about, and it's come up in Reddit and some other places where I've been at, is obligation, moral and conflict for the Force users and the Jedi thing, and duty for the Rebel Alliance, Age of the Rebellion core book. And these are kind of like the three different things that are in those core rule books, because most of it is the same. They have a little bit of difference in the starships and the weapons and the gear and stuff. But the biggest difference are then the Force user book has the Force and Destiny has more Force user, talent trees and stuff. Oh, I'm going to go through that too. I want to talk about that. Let me put that at the end of the list here. Using the Force, because I've seen some stuff where they made mistakes. You know what? I could be making mistakes too. So please comment if I do get something wrong. But let's start with obligation, moral, and conflict, and duty. So obligation, I am not using obligation, and I am playing Edge of the Empire. My wife's printing some stuff out. The printer's right here. I'm not using obligation. I actually love that they have obligation in Edge of the Empire, and they have the moral and conflict and the duty. Well, I just look up there. I love that they have that in there. I think it's a great idea. I'm not using it. Why? I've been GMing for 43 years, and I don't need it. I already know the issues and the obligation and the things they have. However, I do totally understand why they put it in there. It's for new GMs and GMs that just like breaking down every aspect of the game into rules, which is totally fine. I mean, I used to have a lot of charts, especially when I first began GMing. I really needed charts. I needed to look at and understand all the different aspects of what I wanted to create, what story I wanted to create. I made so many charts and then got so many charts. This was back before the internet too. And I totally understand why obligation is there in the game. And I love it that it is there so that new GMs or GMs that like that kind of structure want to use, an obligation for Edge of the Empire is really about like Jabba the Hutt, about Han Solo, where there's that criminal organization or whatever that the smugglers or the party owes, they're obligated to for whatever reason. The reason I'm not using it is because I already know how to implement that, and I already have a desire to implement it. And another thing I noticed too about it is, you have to roll before each session to see if the GM rolls, percentile, and to see if his number is below the total obligation of the party. And if it is, he's going to have to do something that session, to enact that obligation, like bring in some bounty hunters or bring in some loan sharks, muscle to call in for the credit that they're owed, the debt they're owed. And I don't like some sort of dice roll deciding my storyline in that sense, because I would have that same storyline. I would actually have that same storyline. I just don't want dice to roll it. I want to do it when I feel like that it's the time for that bounty hunter to show up, or that that criminal organization to show up and start in the story. So that's kind of why I'm not using it. But some of you, especially new GMs who just aren't sure what to do, and that's why this is a great tool. So I do like that it's in there, and if you like using it, keep using it. However, if you are a new GM or an old GM who's playing this game and you're like, because I get that like I don't something about this I don't like, like I get that. I got that a lot for the D&D campaigns, and that's why I started making the videos. And especially when I started listening to all the different YouTube live play, actual plays, whatever, I started getting that sensation of, so that's why it kind of motivated me to do this YouTube channel. And I really enjoyed other people whose YouTube channels were out there, doing their own thing and explaining things, or doing the live play, where I learned, through them, what the issues were. So again, if you start feeling that tug in your brain, that means you don't want to do that, whatever that is. Because as a GM, look, you got to be excited about whatever it is you're doing, and you can't have any of that, because you will bomb like a comedian with his audience. If you're not confident in your material and excited about your material with the right timing and the right acting and the right moments, you're going to bomb, and they're going to know it. So what I'm saying, but for comedians it's harder, but for us DMs and GMs it's much easier. Take out what makes you go, take that out, and just stick with what's exciting. So obligation. If obligation is a little weird to you and you just don't know if you want to implement it or not, don't. However, do look at all the descriptions of the obligations and start thinking about that. And I'm going to come to crafting stories. The obligation, the list of ideas there is perfect for crafting stories and creating your world that your Edge of the Empire adventurers or heroes are going to go through. So it is a perfect tool in that sense, and it could also be a perfect tool in the mechanics of the dice rolls if you're into that. So that's what I'm saying about obligation. Same with moral and conflict. It's the same thing. You can either use their little, add every time they have. Oh, here's something hilarious. Oh no, so that's for duty. But let me go to moral conflict. So moral conflict is when the Jedi's go, dark side, light side, based on if they're going to use, if a good Jedi rolls the Force die, and using the Force, and I should maybe explain that now. Might as well. Let me get the little dice symbols up here real quick. No, let me just pull them out. Okay, so I got a little bag here from the game. You know how at the beginning, here's the thing: when you're a Jedi, you have to, whenever you want to roll, use a Force talent. Let's say like my daughter, she's a beginning Force user, and she uses the goodwill. Now remember, it's not you don't want to do this. She doesn't have that skill, that talent yet. She hasn't been able to get that, but she does have you feel good or you feel bad. So that's all she can do. So you have to roll this dice here, right? And so the only way she can use that Force is if she rolls one of the white dice, the good side ones, right? Now, if she rolls this, she can't use it. If she rolls the dark side, she can't use them. So when she rolls the light side, so it's not like a spell slot where you use it up. You don't have a limit to how many times you can do it, except the caveat being, I'm not going to let her do it again and again and again in a scene. She has to use it once in that kind of encounter. She can't use it over and over and over for every little chain, like a daisy chain of events. I let her use it once per little, whatever the little scenario is. You know what I mean? And if it's two completely different things, like say the guy, I forgot the term for the talent tree she's got, but good feelings. If she does it there, and then she also wants to maybe a few minutes later do a 4C where she's trying, I don't mind she rolls separately for those two, but she can't do like a 4C, type of thing. That's, so whether it's on the same subject or a different subject, that's a whole meditative thing she's got to do. Anyway, so technically, a Force user can use this anytime they want. And just so you know, a Force user is what you really are, not a Jedi. A Jedi is that specific school or college or whatever. Just talking here and giving you all the info I can think of or have in a rambling sort of way. So a Force user is going to use this, and they can roll this anytime, whenever they want to use a Force. And I would say too that if you're in a combat situation where you're trying to leap around, or there's some skills like that, or I wouldn't mind them rolling this every round or every 1 or 2 rounds or whatever, because they do have to use strain up, so they're going to wear down anyway. There is a limit to how many times they can use this because of the strain that they have to pay out to enact this Force. So there's so they will have those kind of limits on them anyway. So let's say if she rolls a negative, a dark side die result, and then she decides she needs to use it. She can. She has to take one of the destiny points and turn it to the dark side. But then she also gets a conflict point, right? So her conflict goes down. And I believe when you go down below 30 out of 100, when you go down below 30 is when you're onto the dark side, I think. Or maybe it's 0. I can't remember the exact number. But you have to go all the way back up to 70 to become good again by doing a bunch of good things and thinking good thoughts and all that. So, and the point system for that is, I can't remember if I read it or not. It's in there, I think. There's a little chart in there on what raises your points up and what lowers them. Yeah, there is a chart in there in Force and Destiny. However, on duty, there is not. And that was a little annoying. I could not find it anywhere where, because in Age of Rebellion, right, you have a duty and my duties, duty. I like the, let me guess. I'm 52. I can't remember things off the top of my head anymore. It's totally blank. I can't even remember the actor's name now. Jack Black dude. When he's the friar anyway. Okay, so brain's dying out. Okay, so duty is what you have in Age of Rebellion, or I'm using up all my brain cells for RPG. So anyway, so duty is what you have in Age of Rebellion, and there is nowhere in there does it tell you like a chart of what getting duty points, and you go to 100, right? When your entire party gets to 100, you then get a rank of whatever it's called. There's a rank of let me see if I can just quick 3. A rank of 324. I remember the page. 324, 325, somewhere around there. You get using duty. Yeah, here it is. Okay, you get a rank of a contribution rank, and those are only like 1 to 10. So 1 to 2 is like low level. 5 or 6. It says here. It even has a chart here. Yeah. So at 5 to 8, you're a veteran soldier. At 9 to 13, top brass, a vital collaborator, and it tells you what you get for being at that contribution rank. That is not duty, though. Duty is 0 to 100, and when you get to 100, you get a contribution rank. So if you're at 9 contribution rank, you would have to have gotten 900 duty points or whatever. Duty points. And they should call that something, honor points. I don't know, whatever. But that includes your whole party. So each of you could have, let's say a party of 4, each of you could have 25 duty points, and once you reach 100, you are now, so let's say you guys get to 9 ranks, so you guys are at, your party of 4 at 9 ranks of, I just forgot it, contribution ranks? Jeez, what's it called? I can't even retain what I just read. Well, I got so many things on my mind. Well, it's called contribution ranks. Okay, I guess I'm just not. That to me sounds like a goofy term for it. But the contribution ranks is what gives you the ranks in your to become a captain, become a commander, general, whatever. And so the party then has to figure that out. But if you get like 9 contribution ranks, you're kind of up there in a captain spot where they're going to give you like a command of something. Your group, your party. So you have to figure that out. And who's the leader of that group? And here's the thing. Like I said. In Age of Rebellion, it doesn't tell you how many, how experience points you get, like 10, 5 for doing something, 10 for doing something really great, 15 rarely. I get my party 15 on average, but whatever. I'll probably have to lower that down. I don't know. They might rebel. Anyway, 5. So where did I find this? 5. You get 5 duty points after the mission, after you accomplish whatever. Yeah, exactly. I found it in Siege of Arda or whatever, the one of the adventure books. It's not in. I mean, let me know if you guys know where it is in Age of Rebellion, but the core rule book's not in there. I couldn't find it anywhere. So that was kind of funny. So 5 would be maximum, I'm saying, for duty points per adventure, because you're going to give me 5 per player, and they're going to reach 100 pretty quick then, right? Because that's technically, if you're 4 players, that's 20 points a game. So within 5, they're going to go up a rank, and if you wanted to do that. However, I may or may not use it. I don't think I will, because I'll just know at some point they're going to get if they're successful in the rebellion, they're going to get ranked up. They're going to need them to do more and more. So story wise, I already know that. But again, obligation, moral, and conflict and duty are great mechanics for you, for starting GMs or GMs who like the mechanical side of GMing. They're great assets and tools. And they even help me to understand the the chart, the rules, to help me understand the basic mechanics of it all. So I do appreciate it. I'm not going to use it because there's so much to remember, so much to do. I'd rather streamline it as best I can and just let my story that I build around the characters tell what's going to happen. Okay, so that's it for my obligation, moral, and conflict and duty. And hopefully I got you a few little info things in there, advice. Okay, so now let's go to fighting around vehicles. Fighting around vehicles is obviously going to happen. It's important. It's cool. It's awesome. I have a great little video here of on my YouTube sound score. Let me just brag a little about that, I guess. Let me see if you can hear it. This is my... It's on my channel, but anyway, I know it's kind of... Huh? Does that sound like a bunch of speeders and bikes and APCs flying around? Anyway, so that's that. Okay. The printer going, whatever. Okay, so fighting around vehicles. Okay. All right, so let me show you this. So this is how I kind of break down my... Well, I'll get to this for the crafting stories, but I broke down this little info to show you fighting, against an AT-ST and a troop transport. These both are armored, okay? Armor 3 here, Armor 2, what the heck? And you're just a bunch of groups on the ground. Now, I'm assuming like you're on the ground, you don't have your own vehicle weapons, you don't have, your own armored vehicle or your spaceship flying around out there. It's you trying to save the little town or whatever, or fighting these guys, or it could be pirates, and they have like a Mandalorian where they have a big AT-ST walker. Now, how does this work? Okay, so in case you don't know, or so here is basically the only personal weapons that can actually break through armored vehicles. Now, through a land speeder or through those bikes, it's very easy. And I'll explain that right now. Okay, so the main thing that make these tougher... Oops, let me make sure I'm not really selecting. The main thing that makes this tougher is the armor. A land speeder has no armor. So any weapon would have to do is do 10 damage, a laser blaster, whatever. If you do 10 damage, you do 1 damage to the hull of a land speeder, okay, or a bike. And they only have like 3 or 4 hit point threshold, hull threshold number. I don't know what the hull threshold, hull trauma threshold, hull trauma threshold. I think that's what it stands for. Strain threshold, strain. I forgot to see. Hull trauma threshold, strain, system strain threshold. Hull trauma threshold, system strain threshold, I believe. Hull trauma threshold. So he has 15. But a land speeder, I think, only has... Let's see, let me look real quick. So they only have 5, right? This is kind of an armored one, the flash one. The civilian one only has 4 here. So a laser blaster could do 1 hull of damage, and that's pretty bad. And the crit still counts. If, let's say, they get enough crits, just like in personal scale, on a vehicle scale, that too goes to a vehicle thing. I think. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that one, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Because the missile tube, the missile tube, it crits on a 2. Now, the breach one, the reason the missile tube is definitely dangerous to an armored, a regular vehicle and an armored vehicle, is that it's not pierce that counts for piercing armor. It's breach, okay? Remember, vehicles don't have soak. They have armor. So the breach is what they need. Because a breach will do 1 against armor and 10 against soak. So remember that. A breach does 1 against armor and 10 against soak. Okay, so you got to remember that, I think. I could be wrong. But I could look that up, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Let me pause it and make sure. That is correct. The breach will ignore 1 point of vehicle armor or building armor or whatever, and 10 points of soak. So this right here, the missile tube now has a chance of penetrating the AT-ST because it has a damage of 20, which is 2 for vehicle, and it'll still crit on a 2 though, so it'll still do a vehicle crit if it does just 1 point of damage. So breach 1, 20 points of damage is basically 30, 20, and 30. Wow, that's going to be tough. I don't know if I can do it. I know I can do for this one. Let me see. 20 and 30. Let me think here a minute. I got to pause. Okay, so the missile tube, I'm looking at it, and you know what? It's going to be tough. You're going to need not 20. That right there will match the armor. The 20 plus the 1 breach will match this 3 armor. You're going to need 10 more wounds of success, or I guess a triumph, for this to matter, for it to penetrate the ATST. For the Imperial troop, you can do it, right? You can penetrate the armor. You can get the 20, right? The breach one will bring this armor down to 1. And then damage 20, so you'll do 1 point of hull damage. Now that's not much, but because if you successfully do it, you still need two advantages to then get the crit. So that's doable. Is it doable with the ATST? It's pretty rare, but if that's all you got to go for it. I want to actually skip to the lightsaber here. Oh no, wait, sorry. Let's just go. Obviously, let's just go down the row. Armor piercing grenade. This one obviously is not going to penetrate the ATST. The pierce here does not count. It does not. It's only the pierce 3 is for personal armor. That takes away from soak, not armor. That's correct. That takes away from soak, not armor, and not defensive personal skill. I don't believe that's because those are all setback die. I don't think so. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, so that only works for soak. Now, can this damage these guys? No, the armor-piercing grenade cannot pierce through their armor. The armor of these vehicles is way thicker. However, it can pierce through a land speeder. That doesn't have armor. It can do damage because right here you got 13, so it'll at least do 1 point of damage. And if you have enough crits, it'll do a vehicle crit. If you get enough advantages, and it'll do a vehicle crit. So you only need 3. And to me, that makes sense because we can definitely shoot through a car pretty easily, but we can't do it through an armored Hummer or an APC. Well, especially an APC in tanks, if you think about it. Okay, anti-vehicle mine. Now here is mechanics. Here is the one needed, and this one's interesting because this weapon is not in Edge of the Empire, but it is in Age of Rebellion. And that makes sense, especially for Rebellion, because they got to take out some heavy armored Imperial stuff. Whereas Age of Empire, you're just trying to run away and get, you don't want to, in the Age of the Empire, you don't want to go up toe to toe with the Empire, right? You just want to run away. You don't want to cause more problems. You just want to get away, and hopefully the problem will go away. But anyway, so this anti-vehicle mine, this one now, as you can see, breach 4, that's going to take out that can take out the ATST. It can at least do at least 2 damage to the, it doesn't add any more. Breach 4 just takes up the armor, but this will at least do 2 damage to this, but then you have a really good chance of doing a crit, and of course it uses the mechanic skill, so that means, I guess you got to apply it, or you can bury it in the right spot, and there might be another rule. Let me check that real quick. Okay, so yeah, the anti-vehicle mine uses mechanics, but it doesn't say anything about anything else as far as how it's placed or where. Or I guess the mechanics roll is what determines how much damage it does. If a vehicle, whether you set it to pressure or sense, or a land speeder passing over it, you can set it to those different kind of settings. I guess it's kind of vague in that, and so you can kind of maybe do whatever, or it could be both, I guess. Or maybe you could do it where, you could even do like a, you have to buy a pressure one, or you have to buy a speeder one, or you have to buy one that you can do both, but not either. You can do one at a time, or you can buy another one, higher upgrade, where it can do all, and it doesn't kill any people. And no, the anti-vehicle mine obviously in this says it doesn't kill people, so those people could pass by over it, whether it's whatever the setting is. Anyway, so that there obviously can take out the ATST, it can take out the troop transport as it hovers over. So that's pretty interesting. The basic lightsaber, now check this out. The basic lightsaber, damage 6, the breach 1. So this thing right here cannot penetrate this ATST. And here's the way I look at it. If the ATST is just sitting there parked, yeah, and you lightsaber, you can slowly melt it in, right? Just like we see in the movies. But if the ATST is moving along and shooting and you can't sit there with a lightsaber and slowly melt it in. So that to me, you have to quick strike it. And so quick striking the lightsaber against the ATST when it's in action isn't going to work, right? It's going to bounce off. It's not going to stay in the same spot. The ATST is moving. It's shooting. It's However, obviously, if we saw in Return of the Jedi when Luke Skywalker drops down and whoosh, just opens up the hatch, that's an acceptable thing. It's not taking it. It didn't damage it in any way. It just broke open the hatch, which is a weak point, and I will accept. Obviously, you're going to make them roll their I forgot the skills. The jump around skill. What is that one? The athletics? Is it athletics? Yeah, athletics. Whatever it is that to get them up there or drop them down, hiding and cool and athletics or whatever. And then maybe mechanics to see exactly easy mechanics to see exactly where to do it. Although I guess that's pretty dang obvious to tell what it is. Where the opening is. So I can see that. I can accept that. That if they want to do that type of thing. You just have to get past whatever. Maybe there's an ATST behind it and it can shoot at them or. But they're smart enough to do the last one and then shoot them themselves. Okay, so that's how this works. Okay, and again, most handheld, even heavy guns are not going to penetrate because of this armor. If it doesn't have this they need a breach to do it. Okay, you need a breach to penetrate vehicle armor, your handheld weapons, and obviously it has to be a pretty big weapon to have breach 2, breach 3, For vehicle weapons, you don't need the breach. I think a vehicle scale has its own blah 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 blah. It does. A vehicle sized weapon doesn't need to be divided by 10 the way these personal scale weapons do. So their damage is going to be like 5, and so the armor might take off 3, but you still got 2 left to do a whole trauma. Okay, so that's my bit on my little jib jab on understanding vehicle combat and how to destroy a vehicle as a person, which is going to be hard, and that's good. That's the way it should be. It should be hard. And remember, when these things are shooting at it, if this thing is shooting its light blaster cannon damage 4, that's damage 40. Okay, that's damage 40. So get out of the freaking way. Hide. The concussion grenade, however, is on personal scale. So the damage is just damage 10, okay, when it does its when it's blasting this. But it has a blast of 8, so it's definitely anti-personnel. Whereas this one just shoots at one person and does a damage 40. Although I think might make anyone nearby probably take half the damage, 20. And then this one too is a vehicle one. It goes up against vehicles, so it's damage 5. No, it's damage 50. Okay, so that's an insta kill. Okay, that's my wife coming through to pick up her prints. Okay, what else am I going to talk about here? I'm just talking. Just I guess because I'm really enjoying this stuff. And repair jobs. Okay, so how do I use repair stuff? Oh boy, I gotta find the page. Let me find the page and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm still kind of. I have it all in my head. I just haven't fully written it out. I guess. But I am using, I like this. Sundries, gear parts, vessel parts, power packs, fuel cells is my basic treasure when they go looking around for salvage, looking for treasures. And I'm gear parts. Well, let's go to sundries. Sundries, and it's in the book. I found sundries, and I'm like, oh, cool. That's just jewelry, whatever the characters have on that is their own personal. Memorabilia that they can find sundries, and I just call it sundries. I don't want them to have to write. I can say you can have 10 sundries. Okay, I don't want them to have to write down jewelry, silver ring. You have a sundry. You have 5 sundries. You have 10 sundries, and I probably will change it to at least like local, noble, lordly kind of thing at some point, but I haven't done it yet. Anyway, so that you can find amongst the salvage, and I would determine that based on the place they go to. If they go into an officer's quarter, I might say that they find sundries in there. They're not going to find gear parts or vessel parts. They'll probably find sundries. Oh, and then also basic gear like medical med kits and water rations and food rations. They probably find that kind of stuff in there too. And I usually make a little list. Here, I'll just show you real quick. So here, okay, in a mechanical junk area, as you can see, didn't want to do that. This list here, I kind of decide that if they roll a search with 2 difficulty, or depending on the space, or if it's already been ransacked. If it's already been ransacked, I'd say 3 or 4 difficulty to find something else. If it's been there for a long time and people have already left, which I'll show you on my map I have here, then it's going to be a harder roll to find things, and they can use their perception to find things. And if they get 1 success, they can get a gear part. If they get 3 successes, they get a vessel part. If they get 1 advantage, they find a toolkit. And this is in a mechanical or junk area, which was probably a mechanical area. If they find triumph, they're going to get a generator starter, because there was, in this map I had, there was a bunch of generators that were all broken, and they needed generator starters. It was just something specific that I had for this map or this area. And so in the quarters and mess halls, they would find, if they, and I made that medium difficult because, again, this place was already abandoned for many years. A ration pack, a water pack, based on what their role is. And if they get a triumph, they get an emergency kit. And in the caves, they found some other stuff. A useful mineral ingot, a breather mask, and a rare gem. Okay. And I don't have sundries here, but anyway, sundries I must have figured out at some point. But sundries is kind of cool because you can kind of determine a local sundry, a gang sundry, a noble sundry, whatever, and those kind of values, or maybe it's a threat if it's a gang sundry. But I like doing gear parts, and I'll explain why, and vessel parts. So whenever they go looking for stuff and they get gear parts, that's what they need to repair things with, right? If they have a gear part, they get a boost die. If they have a toolkit, they get a boost die. If they have a repair kit, they get a boost die. Well, one of the other, repair kit or toolkit. Toolkit I use for anything. Repair kit I use for repairing, because toolkit they can use for breaking things down, salvaging, looking through stuff. I'll say if you use your toolkit, you get a boost die to look through things, because you got to open things up, and especially when it's a salvage type thing. So if they get gear parts, if they start collecting gear parts, and there's a 1 encumbrance for the gear part, and it's about around 50 credits if you want to sell it or trade or whatever. But you can use a gear part to repair droids and smaller vehicles, like regular civilian vehicles, droid and machines. So that's what they use to repair things with. And here's the cool thing: like if you have 4 gear parts, and another thing I do is if something is damaged, let me show you on a map. So this is an old mine map that I'm using. And as you can see, if they went in here and they were finding gear parts and vessel parts and the rations and stuff, there's an abandoned mine on Tatooine, then they could go in. They couldn't repair this. This is completely destroyed. But this one here was parked there and abandoned for many years. And so they went in there. They could use gear parts to fix it. Now, the way I do it, it's not just that you can repair it with a hard. I feel that's kind of a little... I need more narrative than that in the game. So what I did is, like, they need 6 successful repairs to repair it, and that's 6 gear parts. You need 6 gear parts and 6 successes. So they would roll, and how many? They got 2 successes. They used 2 gear parts. Well, they're running out of gear parts. If they did a failure of that roll, they would lose a gear part. Or 2 gear parts. They would lose 2 gear parts. It was a weight. You know what I mean? If they had a triumph, they fixed it without having to use a gear part. You know what I mean? And saved an hour or whatever. So that's the way I did it. I did it where it was like 6 successes because it was an old one. And they had some bonuses. They had the toolkit, the repair tools. That was a boost die. They actually were able to get a generator and fix this little generator over here. You can't see that. There's a little generator over here. They were able to get that going. That turned on the power tools, and that gave them a couple of boost die to help them fix it. Kind of thing. And then I definitely do water and rations. So each time they roll is like an hour, and then if they did 4 hours, they need to eat something and drink something. Otherwise, they start taking strain. That kind of thing. It's kind of fun little, especially at these lower levels where I have them do little. They're really struggling with the credits and the food and the water. And if when they get to a certain point, I'm not going to worry about that anymore. But it's fun to do these little things at the beginning. I keep it kind of arbitrary, kind of like now you need it now and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I have them doing, and they have to search around and look for gear parts, vessel parts, rations, and water. And they fought some womp rats coming out of these holes. There were some creatures and stuff. And by the way, okay, this is my little commercial break. I am gonna do a Kickstarter with these maps. I have a bunch of maps. I'll show you this other one. I'm gonna call this a forge hauler because I am gonna be careful on Kickstarter. I'm gonna, it's gonna be sci-fi, Star Wars like stuff, but I do plan on doing these. I've just been doing these. I'm obsessed with IGM. I want to have a really good, fun map that they can go on, and just make it look really cool and visual. This is one where it's an abandoned sandcrawler, and they can go in and find gear parts, fix up some droids. Maybe get the droid, but they're dealing with some Jawas too. They're having a friendly thing. But this one is an abandoned sandcrawler that has some old B1, B2 battle droids and some other droid, I forgot which one, that was able to counter the Jawa's EMP, the ion blast, and was able to kill all the Jawas, sadly. And basically just sits here guarding this sandcrawler like it's their own thing. And I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're building some droids to try to, I might do that. We'll see. I haven't fully fleshed that out yet, but they're in here. And this is sort of just stuck in the... they don't have enough parts to fix the sandcrawler itself. I'm going to say the Jawas were able to sabotage it or whatever. But whatever. I don't know. But it's just sitting there. And that's not the goal of the droid anyway. The droid is just there to guard it. It thinks it's there to guard it, basically. So these are maps I'm going to do for a Kickstarter that I have. Okay. So I'm going to take this out and draw... some Star Wars vehicles in it, because I want to, I don't want to. I want to obviously ride off of the Star Wars fanfare, but I don't want to be illegal about it. Okay, so I want to go back to my notes. What is it that that was my repair jobs, crafting stories. Okay, so crafting stories. I'm going to how do you craft stories how do I do it? First, you pause this. Okay, story stuff. So what I like to do for craft, my wife came in and I had to wait for. I'm not sure exactly where I am at this discussion, except crafting stories, figuring out your how to do storytelling and GM, how to set up your stuff in GMing. Okay, so here's how you do it. Don't think about what do I got to do? What do I got to do? First, what you need to do is just study the area. Just let go and study the area or the world or the galaxy or however far you want to do it. Just kind of enjoy studying and reading. And Wikipedia is obviously great. Obviously the Star Wars role-playing game books are great. But just relax and kind of read and think about story and let stories kind of flow in your head with that. So let me just show you what I did when I wanted to do the smuggling operation. I found, these maps of the area, right? There's Tatooine and Geonosis. You can see that, yeah. And I just started Wikipediaing these areas and what was what, and then collecting them into this. And there's a lot of interesting and fascinating little, things in these areas. This is all Hut space, and these are all owned by the Jabba clan. So I've got to create. I haven't done it yet, but I'm excited to. I got to create a little Jabba clan that's going to be coming back to Tatooine. And my period is obviously the Mandalorian period, where there's no Jabba and or there's no Hut, and the Tatooine's kind of dead, and slowly people might be coming back to do some mining and stuff. So it's a very open world in that sense. And, the Empire is weak. The New Republic is weak. The pirates are weak in the sense, well, they're just not interested in Tatooine anymore, but slowly they're going to start getting interested again in it. And so right now I'm just kind of pasting in little info here. And then I go up here and see I figured out, well, who's in these areas? Oh, the West Side Arcanus Regency is over in one area. The North, the Hut Council, and I've kind of researched this based on the Hut source book. There was a bunch of Imperial, the Death Star was built around Geonosis, so there's a bunch of Imperial stuff there. So I'm going to do a lot of Imperial ruins, and pirates are going to start looking around, And I'm going to say a lot of these Imperial ruins, they were destroyed by the Republic. So there's that, but there's still some left, and some of it is even maybe guarded by droids, powerful maybe spaceship vessel droids or grounded droids or whatever on the planet. And they're rare because the Republic blew up most of it, but it's still there. And I think there's an asteroid field around Geonosis. I'm not sure, but whatever. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff there, and the pirates too are probably interested in Geonosis. And Geonosis, the little Geonosans they're probably rebuilding. Crawling back out of their holes after being bombarded. They're going to probably be rebuilding. So that's interesting to me, and that's really close to Tatooine. You can just sublight. So, and I got the corporate sector. I'm trying to just write out a little bit of what to remind me of who is what in these areas, and that you start thinking about the obligation thing, and you start thinking about what kind of stories you want to build up in there. And I want to show you, here I built up my, I put it together the the raiders because they're dealing with them right now, and I made some good ones that want to be peaceful, just like in the Mandalorian, but there's some bad ones who want to follow, and I discovered. There's a Jedi Het who ruled the Tusken Raiders at one point and tried to unite them and take over the planet, or Tatooine, and then he turned to the dark side, later on the story, or not in this, or what, in the legends or whatever. But what's cool about that is I'm actually using that as a background for some of the more radical Tusken Raiders who want to return to that, So there's evil Raiders, and then there's ones that are. They're rough and tumble, but they don't want to necessarily kill everybody. And so there's like a little civil war I'm doing between the two. So that makes it interesting for the players. There's like a little civil war going on between the Raiders, the ones that want to try to work with the other, the off-worlders, or the ones that want to just kill them all. And so that's kind of cool. Other creatures here, but I want to show you. Okay, so here, see, is my next obligation, or my next, confrontation, is they're going to be coming up against, these Weequay pirates that are going to come in. They're going to land with their Gozanti freighter cruiser and start. At some point they're going to start raiding the vapor farms and the small settlements, because that's what the pirates do. So this is how I craft together. My little storylines. I just kind of start building this up first, and this is kind of how their breakdown of how they are and the stuff that you can get from them. I don't yet have the hut stuff that I want to do. I did show you the Imperial. So this is I have an Imperial location that I'm building, and I don't think I'm gonna have the ATSD there, but I'll probably have. I actually just put this in for this video. But I'm going to keep it there, and then I have the Imperial trip. Maybe I will use it. Looks kind of cool. So there's that. So that's how you kind of do it. You kind of build the framework of the area or the places you want them to go. Build a basic framework, and the story will come to you. You'll start building it up. You'll start making it interesting when you can see the stats and the breakdown, the mechanics. Build up the mechanics first, and then add on the body, the body of the thing. And these are my crate dragons. This is the Lost Sandcrawler. So these are the ones that in the actual crawler doing their thing. Okay, so I made this. I made the medical droid gone wrong. I made a sergeant who was modified. Who I made it so that his restraining bolt actually countered the ion attacks. So he was able to take out a lot of the Jawas and release the other droids. That's just just whatever, something basic, something simple. So the restraining bolt, I can have this restraining bolt is actually very interesting. Maybe it could be a magic item, it's a bolt that if you carry it, it'll counter ion attacks. See, that's kind of cool. Just thought of that just now. Thanks a lot, man. See, that's why I'm doing these videos. Let me write that down. Duh, that is so cool. Restraining. Just quickly here. Restraining bolt. Restraining bolt. Magic item. I'll just figure out later what it actually does. Okay. That's pretty much all it does. Okay. So let me show you one other thing here. So this is my town. I'll be putting it on my Kickstarter. That's right. I'm doing a little commercial, but I can't help myself. I'm already doing the Goblin Fortress, by the way, and I'm totally loving it and having a good time. And it's a lot of fun, but it's fun here. When I'm done working on it, I just go to this. This is what I do next. I'm just loving it, man. I'm just loving, that's why I'm storytelling Ron. Okay. So this is, and look, here's my obligation right here. for the Zico, Captain Zico. Zico is in this area right here with his gang. I'm just having fun telling you the story. And what's funny is I did this because one of the players, one of the suitors of my daughter, he's like, maybe you should call this town Mos Zico. And I'm like, I was playing Zico. I'm like, hey, that's a great idea. You know? So the players are accomplishing things, and Zico just comes and says, you guys got to give me 50%. See, I don't even need for them to roll an obligation. I just know that him and his guards watch the front gate. So, and they got to pay to come back in and out. And when they went to the old mines and then came back, he was like, you got to give me, So, and they're like hating him. So that's it. That's the obligation. That right there. The whole team is very dirt poor. They have so much they're stressing out on so much stuff, that I don't need to add that mechanics of the obligation on it. I've already got plenty to do, and I'm having fun when bringing it in on my time. And because I know there's these other factions that are building up already in the backstory with the Weequay pirates coming around, because they already have heard through comlinks and other villages that they're being raided, so they know something bad's happening. And the Tuscan Raiders, they already know about that too. They're actually getting into that right now. But they're living in this town and they grew up here. So here's some things just to let you see. I just built up my little town and just created everyone has a need. Okay. Mongo needs vessel parts. He needs vessel parts for his little land speeders and gear parts. Bosco needs gear parts. He wants gear parts to, and he helps them kind of upgrade weapons. And like when they have the slug throwers, he gave them better slug bullets for their each +1 to damage. So kind of one use things at low level. And then they help fix up some of the water vapor things. When they got the gear parts, they could repair them. And so they're getting like duty. They're getting these points for helping the villagers, right? So the villagers are full of Jawas and poor people, and so the Jawas gave them that lost sandcrawler mission. And Yakfo here, he's very greedy. He's a Rhodian, but he's very greedy, but again, they're building up that relationship with him, and they're building up a relationship with Captain Zico, even though he's a villain, because he still protects the town. So they're conflicted. They want to kill him, and he has 10 pirates left, 10 gang members. A couple died for some other reason. It wasn't. I don't know, whatever. But they protect the town from the raiders. They fought off the raiders that came in through here. I have a little damage thing here. They talk about how the people accept Captain Zico because he helped fight off the raiders. Even though he bullies them around and takes stuff from them and stuff. And they all need food. They need water. They need the Lilac who runs the Dewback range. She needs, grains. And I do have grains out there that they can go harvest, in the mountains that are, rare and hard to find, and water. And because obviously there's got to be some if you can have, banthas and stuff. And then this guy, Kushro, he needs the grain for his fermentation so he can make some liquor. So they got, it's been a fun adventure, and it's all, I've played 9 episodes now, just so you know, 9 episodes, and they have not gotten off this planet. 9 episodes, and they've got maybe 500 credits. They can't even afford a ship. And this is destroyed, and they're having a lot of fun. They're just having a lot of fun playing here. It's Star Wars. It feels like Star Wars. The characters are hilarious like Star Wars. And they're dealing with raiders right now, and they're going to go to the Sandcrawler thing at some point pretty quick. The Tuscan Raiders are dealing with that Civil War thing and helping out and all that. Anyway, so my point here is that to create a story, let me see if I cover the points. You figure out the sector. I had fun doing that, and then I started getting down to the factions and general goals of in the area, like the Hutts and the pirates and the Empire. What's going on? Because like in the Empire, there's a lost Empire mine near them. They've heard of it's somewhere over the Rinker Ridges. We don't know where, and they're intrigued by that, and so that's another aspect of the story that builds up. And then you figure out the MO of these groups, their look and their tropes, like what's going on with them. Are they Imperial? Are they Royalty? Are they pirates? Are they smugglers? Are they Rabid? Are they Insidious? Are they full of justice? You know what I mean? You kind of, and you could probably easily do that just by depicting who they are in your mind. obviously the Hutts. Okay, well, you already know what they're going to be about. Empire, you already know what they're going to be about. The pirates, space pirates, you know what they're going to be about. And remember, and what's interesting for the pirates to me is that Ryloth is that, planet nearby, and that's the spice trade, the illegal spices, and that's pirates, and that's slavery. And so that they're going to be dealing. I'm pretty sure that my players, once they get up to a certain level, or once they get up to that area, that's a whole big thing going on there. And there's even the Dark Trooper, not the Dark Troopers, but the Maxine Warriors or something in Star Wars Legends about these Empire. The Empire created these Maxine Warriors or something like that. I have it written down somewhere. But there's that whole thing. And they're in this area by Ryloth, in between Ryloth and Tatooine. So that right there is like a whole deep, dark Empire faction that's supposedly helped build the First Order. Which I'm not saying I don't really. Yeah, I'm kind of on the school that doesn't like the last trilogies, but whatever. Anyway, so you want to okay. Then once you kind of start figuring these all out, then you probably want to create like a low level local boss, someone that's probably their connection. This is for, like for my Captain Zico, he's a low level local boss, but he's actually wanted by the Bounty Hunters guilds because one of the characters wants to be a bounty hunter. So he had found an old puck by a dead bounty hunter who didn't kill Captain Zico. He found the puck, so he knows that Captain Zico is a target. So if he knows if he kills Captain Zico, he could go to the bounty. See, that's the obligation thing right there. He's like, gosh, should I do this? Should I tell Captain Zico? Should I kill him? Because the puck and the fob say they want him dead now because they've lost 2 or 3 bounty hunters, and Zico killed the bounty hunters by a sarlacc, leading him to a sarlacc. Anyway, then you want to create the hirelings, the henchmen, the goons. So like Captain Zico, he's got 10 goons, and so I know what they're all about. They're poor, they're angry. Zico's barely holding together. Zico confessed to the players that look, guys, I really need this. These guys are hungry, and I don't have, this town is dirt poor. Who's going to protect it when you guys gone, or if you make me look bad? You know what I mean? So there's that whole fun twist to the whole thing. And then you create their assets, vehicles, and basic gear. Think about what they have. Like Zico's got nothing. Like he's got a vibro sword, and he has a gun up on the tower, and it was broken. And then one of the players asked him, and he fessed up that we don't know if it works. So she went and fixed it, and so now they're full gratitude on her. So. And then, of course, the pirates and the Tusken Raiders and stuff. So you got to figure this stuff out and have fun. Just slowly type this stuff out. And trust me, as you get these factions, you'll start creating stories. You'll start figuring out how to interact them with the players. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like how you do it. You just kind of build it slowly. Take your time. Figure out the area. Research it. Don't have to know everything. Don't have to figure out everything. Just have fun. And start building your basic fun little... and it have factions that are all in there. And the other faction I love is the creatures, the crate dragons. I'm making, wormlings and medium size and all that. The Dianogas, the creature, the tentacle thing in the trash compactor. Those are kind of loose around the water areas, the few rare water areas, or creatures like that. The Rancor obviously is there. They know that there's they got to deal with that maybe if they want to get something. I forgot what this. Oh, they get pups. If they can find eggs of the Rancors or pups or whatever, they're very valuable. Okay. So that's I think I'm done here. Using the Force, I already talked about. About rolling the Force die and getting the points. Anyway, I think that's enough. Wow, that's almost an hour. So that's a great. This is a great podcast of just info for you about Star Wars while you're doing the dishes and vacuuming and cleaning the house for your wife. Very sexy. And that's just kind of what I was aiming to do with this, is just talk about different things about Star Wars GMing and giving you advice on that. And I hope this, just hope this was a little helpful for you. That's it. All right. Thanks for hanging out and listening and watching.